this. Us, them. We, you. Hello. Good morning. How are you? Stupid ass, dumbass, loud ass Dinosaur woke up Amelia. And for what, you ask? A neighbor was getting into his truck to go to work or something. And he had the audacity to pull that truck down his own driveway in front of our house and drive away. That's why Mom had to be woken up so rudely this morning. Good morning. How's it going, Pranob?
Yeah, I'm gonna do like a custom house that just doesn't have any windows on the front, like they're all in the back.
Yeah. Yes.
I see what you're saying now.
Or I want those, like, I don't know if you've seen them. They've come up with these electrode glasses where you push a button in a luxury car and they
tint themselves.
They tint, and they can tint all the way to being black.
I see.
So just get like a house that has tons of cool windows like that, but you can push a button and it all goes. And then have
we look a little creepier with no windows on the front, though. It'd, like, keep people away too.
Oh yeah.
What's wrong with the house? That's no windows.
Yeah, those fucking people.
Meanwhile, we have all these beautiful windows in the back.
Yeah. Who are these? Yeah, we would just need, all we need to do, because that's really how, like, plantation style homes were made.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like there's a grand escalier at the front, a big circular driveway that goes in front, and all of the windows and doors face the front. And then the back of the house, I mean, there's still windows, but it's not like, so all we need is one of those and just flip it.
Yeah.
Turn, like it's turning its back to the land.
Yeah.
Instead of overseeing it.
Yeah, we still have like a couple peepholes here and there.
Oh yeah, we could have a couple windows we could open up, you know.
It's not in his little line of sight.
Yeah. Well, he would have, see, if we could build our own house, like down to the gnat's ass and money was no object, we could build a house where like he could move around it, but only in certain places. Mm-hmm. He could move around it freely. He could always get to us, but he could only get to us by certain routes.
Yeah, without going by a bunch of windows.
No windows, no bullshit. The Dinosaur route from the kitchen to the bedroom is window free. Oh, the Shutter sign in. Cool. Yeah, I did Shutter for a while. I ended up canceling it because at the time I feel like I'd seen most of the shit on Shutter that was worth seeing. That was years ago when it was kind of a newer thing. Maybe they've just gotten a bigger collection since then. But I remember flipping through it, and there was a bunch of schlock, which is okay, and then a bunch of movies I'd seen. Not necessarily like all super popular movies, but a bunch of like well-worn horror movies that I'd seen.
I might be in the minority with that show we ejected out of last night, because I looked up the Rotten Tomatoes after. It was like 91% fresh.
Oh, The Outsider?
Yeah.
Amelia and I just got We just got HBO Max
To
again
replace our Hulu.
to replace our Hulu,
Yeah.
and we got it. Well, one of the reasons I got it was because TJ was bugging me to watch Sinners. I watched that yesterday. Great film.
Watch previous streams.
Yeah, watch the previous stream if you want to know about that. But last night we didn't really want to start a movie, but we saw this like mini series, I guess, called The Outsider. It's a Stephen King written, I guess, adapted Stephen King mini series, and I was like, yeah, you know, let's check this out. And I got a really bad feeling about the show. Let's just put it that way. The show had timeline problems. Well, like intentional. Like instead of just showing you a procedural, which is like
Death investigation,
suspicion, finding who did it, and then resolution, right? That's a procedural, right? Or, you know, like a hospital show would be sick patient comes in, emergency situation, trouble diagnosing, doctors figure it out through hook or through crook, give treatment, save life, end show, right? That's a procedural. And this show was filmed, or it's like written like a procedural. So it's like somebody finds dead body. Investigators go look at dead body, find out it's a kid that's really been torn up. Start canvassing the neighborhood. Find a few people who saw suspicious things that day. It all points to one guy. The guy is a well-respected guy in town, but there's no way that he isn't a suspect. So the cops go to pick him up. Cops pick him up, take him in for questioning, right? That's as far as I got in the show. The problem is that the show doesn't tell it to you like I just did. The show tells it to you back to front, front to back, up to down, left to right. You're going back in time to see what happened when he interviewed this guy, and then you're seeing the aftermath, and it was just like I could see in my mind. I've watched enough shows like this and enough movies. I could see in my mind this was a linear film. This was a linear idea. And in order to make it interesting, they Tarantino'd it. They chopped it up and gave you the end first and the middle at the beginning and the middle at the end and the middle at the... And it was just like the only reason that they could do it that I could see from watching close to 40 minutes of the show. The only reason that they were doing it from what I could see was because to make the show more interesting, to like Amelia brought it up perfectly. She was like, it takes too much mental bandwidth to constantly be asking yourself, wait, is this present time or is this future or is this past or what is present time, right? It takes too much mental bandwidth to do that for you to enjoy any other thing. And that is not what you want to waste your mental bandwidth on when you're watching a show about a murder. You don't want to be going like, oh, wait, is this Tuesday or is this the day that they arrested him or is this the day after that? Or is this the day before the murder? Or is this the day after the murder? And, you know, we were able to follow it, but it was taking pretty much everything we had to the type of energy you would spend to enjoy a character or enjoy an arc. All of that energy was spent on, wait a minute, is this, oh, wait, okay, so we're before again. This is before the murder. Oh, wait, no, this is during the murder, but from a different, okay, this is after the murder. Okay, wait a minute, now, oh, wait, no, that wasn't after murder, that was before the murder. This is before the murder. This is after the murder. It was that. It was like, so really what they had was, I bet they filmed this thing, watched it, and they were like, this plays out like a boring episode of CSI. This is like a bad CSI episode, really. Like, we have to do something. And they were like, well, we can't do reshoots. Let's just chop it up and Tarantino it. Let's put the end at the beginning, the middle at the beginning, and then the beginning at the end. And that'll make it interesting. And I was like, I'm out. I'm out of this show. So, yeah, maybe it gets real good, but I got to tell you, man, don't fucking Tarantino me for no reason. Because I know why people do that. I know why people make the decision for a movie's ending to be at the beginning. It's because what it takes to get there sucks. Everything to get there is boring. What the hell are you talking about? Watch this, bro. You're going to love this part. This is going to be your favorite part. You're going to know what I'm talking about in just a few seconds. Your favorite part, trust me. You will know. Trust me. It's coming. I can smell it. Pay attention or rewind the stream. It's like a fucking no shit.
To be fair, it came out in 2020, and that was the year people were accepting some pretty thin gruel.
Oh yeah, well that's COVID year. You know, that's lockdown times. People wanted anything. And so maybe they were just throwing the fucking ripe tomatoes at it.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Remember that fucking stupid Angelina Jolie firefighter movie had good ratings, and it came out like during the COVID times?
I can't remember what that movie was called, but that movie was patent absurdity.
Yeah.
Patent, like...
She's so wispy for a firefighter.
She is just such a wispy woman. And they have her dressed in this big stonky, chonky firefighter uniform at certain points, and you're just like, nah, player. Nah. And then that fucking thing where she's running from the wildfire and she goes into the river. Mm-hmm. That was maybe that would work. I doubt that would work.
It was the lightning bolts.
Ultimately. Oh, the lightning bolt was wild.
She got hit like 3 times with lightning or some shit.
It was wild. It was wild, that movie.
But because it was COVID time, people were like, oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Critics at least.
Unbelievable. Just too much, man. Like I've reached the point in my life where I've seen so much content, like so much Hollywood content, so much network TV content, that I know their tricks. Just ambiently, though. It's not like I'm an expert that studied it. I just ambiently have learned the tricks that movie people will do to spice up a boring slog of a film. You want to know another movie that did that Tarantino shit because it was a boring slog? Don't watch it. Michael Fassbender's The Snowman. TJ and I went and saw that the same day we saw Boo, a Medea Halloween 2. And guess which movie ended up being more fun? Guess which movie ended up being worth the money? Boo. You know why? Because The Snowman was a snow snooze, and they Tarantino monkey fucked it to try and make it interesting.
And the reason why it works with Tarantino is because he's visualizing that from the beginning, how it pulls back.
Exactly.
It's not just like edited.
He's not doing it to hide boringness. Yeah. He's doing it to hide excitement, to build excitement, to show you a little piece of what's coming and then bring you back, and then show you a little piece of what's coming and bring you back. He's doing it deliberately. There's a deliberate time wibble. Another movie we talked about it last night, Memento, does the same thing, right? Where you're wondering, like, the only context clues you have in Memento for what day it is and what time it is in the wibbly timeline, his hair, his body, does he have a black eye? You have to pay attention to him to know where he is in the timeline, and you don't know for the first part of the movie. You don't get it for a while. That's deliberate, right? That's a deliberate time wibble in a movie that's meant to further the narrative or build interest. What we saw last night was, let's do a time wibble because this drags. I bet you could do it. If you took that show, downloaded it, cut it up, I bet you could do a re-edit and make it a procedural, and we could look at what that shit looked like before they wibbled it. Yeah. Just put it in order. Yeah. Just figure out the timeline of every scene and put it where it should be, and it's going to play out like a really fucking boring CSI Miami or fucking SVU. Memento does it correctly, yes. Well, you remember the bandwidth thing where you got the mental bandwidth to figure out what day it is? It's worth spending that mental bandwidth in Memento because Memento is playing a game with you. and it's asking you. It rewards you when you do it. The more you pay attention to the timeline, the more you try and figure out what's going on in this guy's existence, the more you're rewarded. So you spend the bandwidth and it pulls you deeper into the movie. We were spending bandwidth just to figure out what fucking day it was, or whether or not the kid was dead yet, or whether or not they had arrested the guy yet or not. Like, every scene you had to listen to about, what, 30 seconds of dialogue? Expository dialogue to figure out, oh, this is before.
Yeah, and then they would, like, punctuate it very obviously.
Yeah.
Like, after they would go back, then they'd be like, so you still arresting that guy tomorrow? And it's like, okay, it's the day before.
Yeah, you really gonna arrest him at the game? And 2 scenes ago was him arresting him at the game. Like, what are we doing? What? Why are we back here? It's like, so clearly this is a procedural.
Yeah.
And it was a boring one at that. Oh, by the way, everybody in this show, except for one person, was like, Stoic Chief Woodenhead. We found a dead body in the woods. You're under arrest for murder. What's the meaning of this? It's like, like, I can see why we procedurally wibbled it. It wasn't even complex, Pranav. It was just annoying. You know what I mean? It was clearly being... It was doing the fucking move the timeline around thing because the pilot episode was a boring procedural slog.
Yeah, like I said, they punctuated every going back with something that made it obvious at the end. Like, oh, we're going to arrest him tomorrow, or whatever.
It was just... We got about halfway. We got about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way into the show, and I made my call. I never force Amelia, but I was like, I'm sorry, babe, I gotta throw the flag. I'm done. I can't. I'm not. I don't want to do 3 episodes of this. It's a mini series, like a 3-episode thing, and the first episode was so boring that they had to wibble edit it. Nah, pass.
It was 10, actually.
10 episodes? Fuck that. No. Nuh-uh. No, sir. Not interested. To be fair, it's really hard to stick the landing on a pilot episode. No, it ain't.
That's supposed to be the selling point.
The pilot episode is supposed to be the easiest episode. That's supposed to be the episode where you get to do everything that you want to do in the show, because you're showing the executives this is what this show could be. So the pilot is not supposed to be shaky. The pilot's supposed to be rock hard.
Yeah, like back in the day, before they started just signing big contracts to big names, if your pilot didn't hit,
it was gone. They pulled it.
Make the pilot first before anything else.
If you go look at IMDb's of actors that were popular in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you will see tons of credits for shows that never existed, because they filmed a pilot episode or 1 or 2 episodes of a show as a proof of concept, and the executives watched it and they crowd tested it, and it just sucked. And so they just go, well, this ain't it.
But now they're like signing off whole seasons. Like, okay, here's your whole season.
Here's your season. And not only that, but you see Netflix, HBO. We were going through the series last night. It's endless. I kept thinking I got to the end, and then it would appear, like more would load in. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So it's like they're throwing every turd at the wall to see what sticks.
Because they're not doing the pilot testing like the networks used to.
Well, they're letting us be the pilot testers. Yeah. And I guess now
spending all the money to finish it too after the bad pilot.
That's the weirdest thing. I guess now it's cheaper to greenlight a bad pilot and send it out because maybe it might be a hit, rather than cancel it and focus your creative energy on the good stuff. So it's like Netflix has probably got, what do you think right now? 2 dozen, 3 dozen shows running right now. Probably. And probably, conservatively, 100 movies now? 100 200 Netflix production movies.
Mhm.
That is a sign of a studio that in the last 2 years has just taken a shit on the floor and thrown everything against the wall. And they're hoping everything sticks. But 1 out of 10 things sticks. And that leaves you as a consumer with a 1 out of 10 chance to watch something good.
Or you just have to always be behind the curve and like wait just for other people to tell you what's good out of the slog.
Or you just have to dumb down your fucking expectations for a film or a movie or a series and just watch some stupid procedural.
Yeah.
There's your choices. Sucks for the consumer. Must be good for them though. Right? Must be good for them. I don't like pulling out of a movie or a show. I'll be honest with you guys. When I start something, I like to see it through, you know what I mean? Even if it sucks. You know, a part of me last night before I called it was like, maybe this gets good. Maybe it's bad for a reason. You know what I mean? I don't like doing it. But you know what I like less? Being strung along and bored by a show. I didn't turn on the TV to be bored. I turned on the TV because I was bored. My expectations are a little higher, I think, than some people's. Maybe. I don't know. The first Star Trek TNG pilot was awful, along with its entire first season. The TNG first season is weak in the shadow of the rest of the TNG series, but it's not weak.
Also, like, it's probably maybe more tonally similar to the original series, I'm guessing.
They were figuring it out.
Like, they wanted to continue this universe, but I think enough time had passed that kind of formula of the old show wasn't working, maybe, and that's when they started.
That could be it. That could be it. I don't know. What I will tell you is that they were figuring it out. That's how I feel. Like the tone and the formula, they didn't quite know what the TNG secret sauce yet was. Mm-hmm. And so they were using a lot of that fucking TES secret sauce. Mm-hmm. And if you watch that first season of The Next Generation, TNG, it's good. It's not bad. You're interested. Right? But it is different than what is coming. But you know, as a person that hasn't watched it yet, you don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't know what's coming. Mm-hmm. So it ends up being like delightful, not bad. Yeah. It's like, oh, this happens. It's baseline. It's good. It's Star Trek. And then the secret sauce gets poured on in the second season. And you're like, oh, you start to see the character dynamics and you start to see the stuff.
Like, I forget, did you watch the whole original series too, including and TNG, or just mostly TNG?
I've seen the original series and TNG.
Would you say that first season of TNG is similar more to the original series?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, like, it's not super similar, but a lot of the tropes remain. Yeah. And the character interdependencies are very different. So it's like if you were to watch all the way through TNG and then go back and watch that first season and see how Picard's dynamic is with the crew, it's different, right? And that's why I think people don't like it, because they've already seen the series and then they go back to the first one and Picard is still kind of proto-Picard, you know? He's not the captain that they want, and number one is not number one, and fucking Data is not Data, right? And so, but you don't notice that walking through the series as you're supposed to. What that looks like when you're walking through the series is character growth. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like, oh, we're changing the sauce, we're changing the series, we're changing the character. That is what they did, but it feels like growth. It feels like, oh, we've spent more time with these people and they've spent more time together, and now their dynamic is settling into what it should be. So by the third season of TNG, the secret sauce is all over. The roast is smoking. You're selling, the sizzle is sizzling, you know. But those first two seasons get a lot of flack from people. But I like them because I like the whole series. And there's a lot of, I can't remember like any specific examples, but there's a couple of really notable episodes in the first season and 3 or 4 in the second that are like interesting thematically. That's one of the things that I think TNG did really well was like if you look at TES, the original, it's an adventure show. It's about the adventure. There is philosophy and human interaction and relationships. All those things are explored, but it's more about discovery and the adventure. TES keeps those themes, but it is more about philosophy. So you have a lot of these shows, not all of them, where a philosophical conundrum will be placed upon the crew. What is right in this morally gray situation that we weren't prepared for, right? And those are some of my favorite episodes, are less pew pew, boom boom, and more thoughtful. And that's where TES shines over, or TNG shines over TES, if it does at all, right? TES is still my favorite. It's just classic. You gotta love Spock, you gotta love Kirk, you gotta love Bones and Scotty and Chekhov and all of the original crew, man. Uhura. And, what's his name? Oh my. Sulu. They were so good together. You know, they all hated each other. There's all kinds of rivalries and shit. But man, that show was fun. Wasn't it fun? Yeah. You've seen TES, right?
Yeah, I've seen the original series.
We gotta watch TNG. We're gonna have to get Paramount or whatever it's on. Maybe when we're done with HBO or Netflix, that'll be. But I think you would really like TNG. I think we would have fun watching it together. It's been so many years for me that it would be kind of new for me too. Who's your favorite character in all Star Trek? I know he's the fucking, I know he's the obvious one, but that's, I'd be lying. I'm a little fucking probably like biased too, because I got to meet him. I got to talk to him, and he dressed me down about my acting chops. So I got to see I got to see how much Spock was in the man. And I will tell you this, a little bit, a hair of Spock. Really, really, really liking Strange New Worlds. I don't know what that is. Captain Janeway. Yeah, see, I didn't like Janeway. I didn't like that. That was a Star Trek Voyager, I think. Couldn't watch it. Hated Janeway. Hated the trope. Hated the ship. Hated the fucking crew. And was not able to get into that show. But, different strokes, different folks. Watched a couple of his interviews. Very Spock-like. You were lucky to meet him, Rip. Well, I mean, Spock-esque. Spock was a part of him, but not him. He was... From the time I got to talk to him, which was brief, the word that comes to mind is taciturn. That's not a great word. If you have a taciturn father, that's not a good thing. But that is how he came off to me. He came off as somebody that was passionate but taciturn, so stoically passionate. A very taciturn person. Taciturn? No. Taciturn. Taciturn. It means strict. Strict, orderly, gruff. Battlestar. Oh, Galactica? Maybe I will, yeah. Maybe I will. I mean, Amelia and I are loaded up like never before, man. Because I got Hey Paul, What You Watching, which is a recurring series, usually twice a month. She's working on one right now for people. So we're watching every 4 movies I watch. I'm chronicling that, journalistically speaking, in a Patreon exclusive. And then we are working on the big Twilight review right now, and that is just like, that takes up a lot of your watching and creative time and stuff. Why didn't you just say strict? Well, because strict to me would be like I lived with this guy for long enough to understand what his rules were. Taciturn is somebody who is orderly, strict, proper, and direct. And so I felt that taciturn fit better. Strict, like I said, would have implied that I lived with the guy for like a month and I learned his rules and learned what transgression of his rules meant, right? So I couldn't call him strict. The English language is a very useful thing, but it's also a very, very complex tool. So you seem like a guy that was like, oh, why didn't you just use the word? Because the English language has these multiple different concurrent words that might all be talking about the same type of person. But as you know, within that, there's a gradient, right? Somebody might be strict. Somebody might be serious. Somebody might be stoic. Somebody might be taciturn, right? And there are all these words that when you learn them, they let you be more specific in your descriptions of things. And so, and this happens when you read a book. You'll read a book, and this crazy thing will happen. You'll come across a word like taciturn, and you don't know what it is, and you look it up, and you go, oh. And if that word like sticks with you, then it becomes part of your lexicon. You see, like simple communication, not spell casting. There's nothing spellcastery about the word taciturn. It's a pretty common word. It's not spellcasting, but I can understand, your desire for simplistic communication. I like that too. I'm a very plain-spoken guy, but I got a good vocabulary, and I use it when I need to because I like people to understand what I'm saying. You see? And you not reading books and stuff and not understanding big college words isn't really on my list of things to give a fuck about either. Sorry to tell you. That's not a word used in common parlance. Neither is common parlance. The term common parlance isn't used in common parlance. You get my drift? Yeah. I treat new words like a Pokédex. You learn a new word and you go, oh, that's what that means. Cool. And then you use it. And then all of a sudden it's part of your lexicon. There's another big word, lexicon. I could say vocabulary. You're 5 smokes away from throat cancer. Cool. Well, you're 0 comments away from a ban, friend. I've got a crystal ball too. Sim, salabim. Look at him go. Confusion is witchcraft, purpose of trying to seem highly intelligent. Huh? I'm not trying to seem anything. I'm a college dropout. My name's Paul Parkey. I live in Washington State. I worked as a Starbucks barista, as a school technology specialist, and for the last 10 years, I've been a podcaster. I'm a stoner, I'm bipolar, and bisexual. Anything else? Not trying to confuse anybody. I'm actually one of the more open personalities that you'll see on the internet. My life is a book. All you got to do is ask the right questions and I'll read you a chapter. There's no shame in my game. I am what I am. I've done what I've done and I own it all. I'm one of those guys. I'm one of those fucking guys. And a wizard? Shh. Opinionated pizza god. You got it. You got it, bud. I guess you finally fucking tripped a mine or something, but it was really nice talking to your fucking monosyllabic ass. Read a book. Sure. Thank you, baby. All the lonely people, where do they all come from? You were right about people literally telling you what they're insecure about. I know. You got to keep that one on the DL, though. Because people don't understand it. So it's better used as a tactic than as an argumentation, right? I feel like trolls used to be more clever. People in general used to be more clever. You ever read like some of the letters that average farm dudes sent home to their parents in the Civil War? You want to talk about how far we've fallen? Go look at all of the letters that average farm dudes wrote to their sweethearts and their moms and dads when they were in the Civil War. And you'll see that the average person is about as dull as a bag of ball-peen hammers in comparison to people just a couple hundred years ago. Rut-row raggy. We've got a wave of morons, ladies and gentlemen, and they're breeding. They're breeding, and they're breeding faster than replacement rate, and they're replacing a clever humanity with dullards. And they're doing it as quickly as they can. They're like rabbits. They're churning them out. Dullard after dullard after dullard after dullard after dullard after completely predictable dullard. Hey, thank you, baby. Watch this little trick. That's the only thing I don't like about my skull mug is that rim.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's better now that I got my mustache trimmed back, but this rim conspires with a mustache to make dribbles.
Yeah.
But a little metal straw fixes everything. Maybe I'm lonely. I heard some of those morons in the Sinners stream at the beginning. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just talking about the movie and talking about culture and race, and I guess the word would be intersectionality, right? Because that movie is about that stuff, where culture, race, and tradition meet, and where tolerance and subsumation meet. That's what the movie was about, by my estimation. And I think that's a real smart thing to make a movie about, especially a vampires movie. But yeah, there were some people who just talking about those topics made them so uncomfortable. You could just tell. And people will straight up tell you, like I said last night, it's a mean thing to do to people. But people, when they're being mean to you, will tell you what their insecurities are. The first thing that they come at you with is typically in the wheelhouse of their biggest insecurity. So, like for me, somebody comes at me and they're mad at me on the internet, and the first thing they say is fat, is a person that's got dysmorphic body issues, probably. They're scarred, they're thin, they're short. Maybe they themselves are fat and pretending not to be. Something's going on with their health, their physical body that they don't like, right? Somebody comes at you and says, you're retarded. This person feels intellectually inferior a lot. He probably works at a place where people are smarter than him or her. And it's not 100, it's not 1-to-1, but this is old huckster shit. This is old mentalist stuff, right? And there's a psychological basis to mentalism. Mentalism is about manipulating common psychological loopholes. So it's like, it's always the father, right? That's another one that you'll learn if you watch Nightmare Alley. With a young man, especially young men, it's always the father. The father is an instant button with every young man. It doesn't matter how good of a relationship you have with your father. There is an inherent tearing away that happens between father and son when a son is young. And it happens in every father-son relationship. It has to happen. It's called individuation in psychology, but you can manipulate it because there's a lot of insecurity surrounding a man's relationship with his father. So these are all common psychological tactics. You see Blackie in the background? Oh, there he go. He came scorching by. Well, yeah, it's called projection. But in a broader term, when we're talking about specific usage, it is a huckster term. People, when people are telling you about you, psychology teaches you they're telling you about themselves, right? Especially when they're assuming things about you. The worst that you assume about a person, so it's like me, right? What am I projecting? Well, you guys see me yell a lot at dumb people. I worry that I'm stupid sometimes. I don't want to be stupid. I'm ashamed in some ways, not like I carry shame, but I'm ashamed that I didn't finish school. I feel like it was expected of me, and I feel like I could have had I applied myself. I feel like I still could. And so when I see somebody being stupid, I think that there is a natural inclination for me, who is insecure about that, to lash out at that stupidity, to reinforce my own feeling that I'm not stupid. Does that make sense? So that's how projection works. I was trying to be better with my boys than my dad was with me. Well, that's typically every parent, right? Unless you're talking about a real sociopath, drunk, somebody that just doesn't give a fuck. There's plenty of parents like that. I'll tell you.
Were you changing your mind and getting your vape?
Yep. Trying to be better. Yeah. I just admit my insecurities. Can't really hide them. Well, yeah. I mean, I clearly I do too, right? I don't like my body, right? I am fat, and that is an insecurity of mine. I don't like how bulgy and roly and poly I am. I don't really like what I see when I look in the mirror, but I've learned to accept it. So it's not a raw spot for me. It's a button that got scabbed over back in the 6th grade. I stopped really caring about people calling me fat by the time I was in high school. If I hadn't, I would have just shrunk. So, it's not that it isn't a button on me. It's just a button that's a big old puckered scar now. So go ahead and call me fat. I know it. But when you do that, and especially, this is important, right? This is where the mentalism comes in, because psychology will wibble on this. The first thing a motherfucker says to you that's confrontational or insulting is the most important thing. You've zeroed in on it, right? And then you can look at the person and go like, what are they projecting? So this happened to me the other day. I won't tell the whole story again, but this dude named Kettlebell or some shit over at the Thunderdome. He doesn't like me, but we'd never talked, right? And so he cammed up one day, and we got into an argument about politics or something. I can't even remember what, really. And he started insulting me. What was the first insult he threw at me? I was cammed up and he was cammed up. Fat. So I was not in the mood to get in a long debate with this dude because he's kind of stupid. So I looked at him and I was like, well, he's fit. Not a bad looking guy, but he's really intent on looking musclier than he is. He's wearing a muscle shirt, a Captain America all over print, Captain America shield muscle shirt, but he's not all that muscly. And he's got a big ostentatious man bun on his head, like Mrs. Sprinkle or Mrs. Crinkle or whatever her name was from the school bus.
Frizzle.
Miss Frizzle. And I was like, so this is a guy, and so I sized him up. It's like mid-30s. He's losing virility. He's losing relevance. He sees his body becoming floppier, and he's intent on keeping it less floppy, but he's having a harder time. And his hair is his virility. So I sized him up as a Samson. They call that a Samson in huckster terms or whatever, mentalist terms. This is a guy whose hair is his personality, right? Because he's got nice hair, he covers up every insecurity with it and he keeps it. So I was like, man bun. And he was like, man, fuck you, my hair's nice. I was like, man bun. Oh, man, you're a fat fucking piece of shit. You're fat look at you, man, you're fucking so fat. Man bun. That's all I said to the guy. Now the guy won't talk to me. He literally will just leave a giant room in the middle of a conversation he's having if I pop in. But he's a Samson, yeah. That is an archetype. If you read about mentalism, and you're talking about, mentalism will talk about extolling people's self-held virtues. So a lot of mentalism, you want to get in good with somebody. You're not trying to hurt them. You're trying to help them or make them feel like you're helping them. And so a lot of mentalism isn't about being mean. But there's a whole bunch of mentalism that is about being mean, because being mean is a pathway to truth. That's what a mentalist will tell you. Anger is truth. You ever hear the term in vino veritas? In wine, truth. It means when you get somebody a little drunk, they're liable to pop off and say something they really think. Well, people can get drunk on emotion. What do you think about that? Well, no, hurt isn't. Anger is pain. This is another mentalist / psychology trick. There is no such thing as anger in psychology. Anger is an expression of pain. Deep, abiding pain. When you see an angry person, you really could ask that person, who hurt you? I'm an angry person. I've been hurt. My anger comes from hurt. Okay? There is no anger. Anger is pain. Anger is a coping strategy for pain. And it's typically a maladaptive coping strategy to boot. We're saying the same thing. We are. You're correct. And this, from a mentalist perspective, when you're talking about manipulating conversation, a meeting, a social gathering, right? This is not something I think that people should do all the fucking time. But on the internet, it's really fun because a lot of people throw up the mask. A lot of people are popping off at the mouth in ways they never would in public, right? That man bun bro would never walk up to me and go, fatty, fatty, fat, fat, right? But because it's the internet, he thinks he can get away with that bullshit, right? And he got man bunned right in the face. And it was fun, too, because I knew I buttoned him immediately. Fucking relevance draining out, years getting on, fucking Captain America muscle shirt, but you're kind of doughy. Man, why don't you just tell me your insecurities, bro? Just lay them bare. You just may as well should have let me borrow your diary, you know? Anger leads to fear. Fear leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. And suffering leads to the dark side. No, but I mean, I gotta be honest with you too. This is kind of fucked up to admit, but it's true. A lot of the dudes on the dome that end up wanting to take a piece of me are like 20-somethings. And I'm not saying that I'm like, oh, smarter than you, but chances are I've read more books than they will ever read, right? And definitely I know more about psychology than the average, 20-something hanging in the dome. And so it almost feels like a cheat code with these guys, because they've got a certain social situation based around brawlicness and language that doesn't apply to me. And so they don't know what to do with me. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I have my own rules, friend, and I abide by them very well. And the standard shit just doesn't work on Paul's ego. I don't give a fuck. Right? You just came on my face? Cool. Neat. Contribute. I understand what that means, You get caught in but not contribute. Y-O-D-A Yoda. Y-O-D-A Yoda. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Met him in a swamp and day goodbye, and he taught me how to levitate up a soda. Y-O-D-A Yoda. Which is the truth, though, man. These are just surface level things too. These are like the first entry level little things you'll learn about psychological profiling or mentalism or diagnostic psychology, right? Listening to people is the greatest superpower that you can learn. Genuinely listening and understanding the subtext. Subtext itself is a concept that if you don't read books and watch movies and study a little bit about film and literature and stuff, at least get interested and love some of it, you'll never even really know what subtext is. It's a concept that is foreign to people who are uneducated, ignorant, adverse to reading, adverse to culture and art, right? And only specifically interested in trifle art or big explosive things or childish stuff. Oh, subtext, Danny, is everything. If you really understand, for me, it's like yesterday, because my mental process, and maybe Amelia will back me up on this, I don't know if it's true or not, but yesterday after we watched Sinners, you weren't quite connecting up with what I was saying because my mental process was trying to put into words what the subtext of the movie was, and I think I was doing it a little ham-fistedly, and I was having trouble bringing you along. You know what I mean? In terms of like, this is what I thought the movie was. You asked a lot of clarifying questions, and And then eventually, right, we arrived at a point where it's like, okay, now I see what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Because it kind of came off, I think, early as like, oh, this is a movie about how black people should never talk to white people, or black people should never share their culture with white people, or that cultural appropriation is the worst thing that can happen, or whatever. And it's not that. It's not that. It's about the death of culture and the homogenization of culture that happens when a global society exists, right? And so if you look at that movie, right, a lot of people say, oh, it's a black movie. Well, pretty much every racial subgroup is in that movie. You've got Asian, you've got, Dominican or whatever that guy was. You've got Creole, or what they would call mixed race, or, you know, you've got white, and not just white, but different shades of white, different cultural white traditions are laced all throughout the movie, right? White cultural traditional music, and the European white tradition is part of this movie, right? In fact, the fact that it's vampires really like actually works for this movie, because that politeness that a vampire has to show to get into your home is kind of the point of the movie. It's like, sometimes people that are against you come with torches, pitchforks, white hoods, and burning crosses. And sometimes people that are against you come with smiling faces and what seems like the best of intentions. So, once again, Martin Luther King talked about the white liberal and how he feared, or he was suspect of the white liberal because they came with smiling faces to appropriate the struggle. They were in it for them. They were in it to feel good about themselves, not to give, right? And so this vampire, when he first shows up in Sinners, he says, listen, I understand. We're white. You're black. We live in a place where those two things don't mix well, but we love your music. We heard your wonderful, beautiful music, and we play music. Would you like to hear our music? And so they play a country song. They play, pick that robin clean, pick that robin clean. Look at that jaybird cry, pick that robin clean, right? And if you know the etymology of country music is a permutation of the blues. And the blues are black music. The blues go back to Africa. The blues has its roots in African rhythm, African callback culture, African, just African roots, African people, right? And country music was minstrelsy. So that song, Pick That Robin Clean, is a minstrel song, right? Where white people appropriated black culture and created their own version of the blues that is country music. And that's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm not saying it was an evil thing to do, but the fact that it's presented in this way in the movie is really smart, because that politeness is about crushing culture, not accepting it. It's about, hey, let us bring our appropriation of your culture in, and let us, there, right at the end, right, the vampire says, I want your music, and I want your voice, and you can have mine. And it's like, oh, I'll give you my Irish white culture for you to appropriate as a black man. Right? But I'm taking yours too. I want your blues for me, because it makes me feel good to do it. That's what it's talking about, right? And then it just reveals it right there at the end for me. And I was like, yep, 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 yep. He says it so bluntly. He says, I want your voice, and I want your songs, and I want your music. And then he says, and you can have mine. Well, is that a good trade? I don't think so, right? Because it doesn't mean the same thing to a black guy. But an Irish jig is a very powerful thing. An Irish folk song, very powerful thing to people that have that connective tissue. Doesn't mean the same thing to a black guy. So a black guy can appreciate it, even really like it. but it's never going to tie all the way back to that person's ancestors. That's culture, right? Culture is shareable. Culture is beautiful and appreciable, but there is appreciation and there's appropriation. And that's Sinners. That's the movie. Great movie. The more I ruminate on the movie, the more I like it. Definitely a movie I'm going to want to watch again. This time with my eye towards those sub themes and see what else I catch. I almost guarantee I'll catch a few things. Catcher in the Rye. Chicken in the corn and the corn will grow, mama. Ooh, chicken in the corn don't grow. Chicken in the corn don't grow, mama. Chicken in the corn can't grow. So yeah, no, like, it was a movie that, like I thought about it and I was like, man, I'm really trying to interpret this black experience. No, it's not a black movie. It's not a movie about blackness. It was meant for me too, right? Just on the other end. I am an appreciator of black culture, black cultural output. Hip hop music is my favorite kind of music in the world. R&B music, hip hop music, soul, Motown. These are my home base. These are my fucking favorite things, and these are all black art forms. Okay. I'm an appreciator of this. Does it mean the same thing to me when I hear Basin Street Blues that it does to a black man or black woman? Or when I hear Black and Blue? Absolutely not, right? Can I appreciate it? Absolutely. Does it mean I'm in the door sitting there with them, fiddling along with my whiteness? No. My cultural experience doesn't have a touchstone there. I appreciate the beauty of the art that came out of all that pain, and I will forever love it. I'll forever listen to it. Watched Sinners twice. I thought the vampires were all right at first. Well, that's the thing. They come selling. Why can't we? You know what he says? Remember when he's about to walk away and he says, and he gets kind of angry and he says, can't we all just be family one night for a few songs, a few beers? I guess not. So it's like also some cluster B behavior there. A little bit of narcissism. Oh, you don't want me and my white people who are dangerous to you, by the way, in this area, in your joint? You must be a racist. You must be a racist.
Well, they try to pot him with money too.
You want this? Spins a little better than slave script does. But I guess you could have it if you want it. All you got to do is take it. Rocky Road to Dublin was great. And, if you watch that scene, it is black people doing an Irish jig, smiling and acting like they're culturally engaged with it. And I'm not saying it's weird for a black person to appreciate Irish jigs. I'm just saying it's not their culture. They don't have a cultural touchstone to it, right? Not in the same way they do the blues and jazz, hip hop, R&B, soul, and funk. They were a hive mind. Well, yeah. Got paid today and wanted to share. Oh, man. Paul, what kind of questions interest you mostly? What topics stimulate you intellectually? Hugs. Thank you. That's very, very kind of you to do that. And I appreciate the donation. You don't ever have to do that. Your contributions are always appreciated. I will tell you the types of topics that stimulate me personally center around art and philosophy and psychology. Those are my three big giant loves in the world, and the things that I feel most equipped to talk about. I love science. I love history, right? But I don't feel very equipped to talk about these things outside of certain specialized things that I just happen to pick up in my schooling or via osmosis. But I don't feel like I really like delving too deep into like biology or evolution, scientific topics, like um, astronomy and those sorts of things. I know such a very small layperson's amount that I feel like I can't really spin off into an esoteric discussion. But when you start talking about human psychology, you start talking about philosophy, you start talking about music, art, movies, theater, visual art, and mixed media art, and performance art, and all of those things. Oh my God, those are my things. Do you think that the hive mind made them able to connect to that culture when they wouldn't have been able to, being turned? Well, the hive mind isn't total. They share a collective subconscious. So it's not like they are a true hive mind, or maybe I misunderstand it. But they retain the veneer of authenticity, but they share a collective subconscious desire to consume and subsume culture, right? That's how I got it. And so they're experiencing it from the standpoint. If you look at the head vampire during the rocky road to Dublin, he smiles, he's into it, but there's a wistful sadness that never leaves his eyes because he gets no joy anymore from even his own culture because it's been so pulped by his desire to subsume it and to use it as the last thing that connects him to the world, that makes him feel good and human anymore, that he does it with no joy. The only way that he can feel joy is by sucking up somebody else's culture, finding these beacon people that they talk about in the narration, right? These people whose music or their performance or their very being heals the tribe, right? But that light that these people put out attracts darkness, right? Sinners is not viewable to users who are under 18. You know what? Go fuck yourself. Somebody's probably reporting me. I'm gonna guess. All right, you dumbasses. I don't give a fuck. Report away. Dumbasses. So my last stream just got age restricted in the middle of this stream.
Oh, yeah.
That's strange timing. These fucking nerds, man. These fucking little dorks, bro. Pathetic little weasels. It does nothing to me. I make $0.00 on the views on this channel, you fucking apes. And that's the thing, too. When I start these streams, it says, is this made for kids under the age of 18? You know what I check? No. So why is it? Shouldn't it be already age restricted, you dumb fucks? Whatever. I hate YouTube, and I hate...
Can't like fully monetize something that's 18, that's like 18 plus.
Yeah. I hate YouTube.
Which makes no sense. It's like if it's grown-up content, then have grown-up ads on it.
Well, they monetize the fuck out of movies that have sex and violence and rape and drugs and everything else. And dude, Strange Days is free on YouTube right now. That movie is one of the roughest movies when it comes to SA that I've ever seen. And yeah, that movie's right up on YouTube, monetized, making bank. But I want to talk about that stuff in a frank way, in an open way. Restricted. It's fucking so lame, bro. So YouTube sucks, but you know what sucks even worse than YouTube? YouTube's just a big corporation. It's supposed to suck. You know what sucks even worse than YouTube? Little pathetic bitches that can't get at you any other way than to try and fucking abuse the report system on an archaic fucking fucked up website to get you banned.
I think the funniest one I saw was like one of them got age restricted for sexual content, and the timestamp YouTube provided was you talking about farts.
Right. Age restrictions don't matter if your fans love you. Thank you, Dr. Perfidus. That's very nice. And that's true. We don't monetize through YouTube, y'all. Donations are great, but I butter my bread and get my fucking jelly for the bread, and I get my fried egg, and I get the salt that I sprinkle on this fried egg and the pepper that I like to put on it, and I get that runny yolk. You know where all that comes from? Members and Patreon. Merch. Meetups. The people that love what I do enough that they're willing to open up their wallet, grab their hard-earned money, and support content that isn't corporate, that isn't fucking drained of all life, that isn't so fucking sucked dry of content and meaning and context, that it's just thin gruel that fucking passes here, right? We use this as a springboard, but we don't need it. You need it. You need what we do, you little bitches. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking about the people that do the reporting and the skibbity backbiting bullshit. You need me. I don't need you. I don't need this website.
Like, your most obsessive viewers are definitely your haters.
Oh, fuck.
They will go through your old videos.
I invite them to. Because you know what they find? I'll tell you guys a little story. Thunderdome shit.
Yeah.
Went into the dome one day. Oh, Paul, you got to come up to the arena. We got some stuff. And I didn't have time. I was like 30 minutes before a show. I was just chilling, wanted to smoke a little bit. I was like, all right, guys, but I got very little time. Okay. And I was like, what is it? He's like, so, Paul, there's this guy, Pampish. I like him, but he's like the head interrogator over there. He's like, Paul, you got carjacked, huh? So he thought I found an old story that Paul told that's a fucking lie. I'm about to expose him. And I was like, yeah. Why don't you tell us that story? So I told him, just the way I always do. He goes, sounds like fucking bullshit to me. I was like, sorry, it sounds that way. I said, I got public records, though. My name's Paul Parkey. I got to go, though. See you later. And I left. That dude looked me up. Found my old court records, right? They're not sealed. I didn't have to go to trial because I was a minor, but I was at their arraignment, and I had to face my accusers, and that is part of public record. My name is in it. So I came back in the next time, and he was like, holy fuck, Paul, you're telling the truth. I was like, you seriously thought I would lie about something like that?
Well, it doesn't make you look good.
No, it doesn't. It actually, it's a really like humiliating kind of story ultimately, right? It's like, why would I make that up? Well, you know how people are on the internet, but he's like, you're the real deal. I looked you up. I got your public records here. You're clean as a whistle. Never been in prison. You're not a pedo. You're not fucking blah, blah, blah. I was like,
background check.
yeah, he did. He did. He opened up his fucking wallet, paid $100,
$40,
whatever it is, to get my court records and get all my fucking living records. And you know what he found because he went back and combed through my shit. You know what he found? I lived where I said I lived. I did what I said I did. I worked where I said I worked. You know what else he was able to find in my public records? I passed a federal background check, and I was a fucking state employee for 8 years. I passed an FBI background check into my past and my internet history and everything else.
And you got a red light, or no, not a red light, like a speeding ticket and like a cell phone ticket, and that's it.
That shit isn't even on your permanent record.
Yeah.
That shit doesn't show up after a couple of years. So if he found my current criminal record What he found was a speeding ticket in near Crescent City
Podunk ass
2 years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago, speeding, or a year and a half ago, speeding ticket, Crescent City.
That was the worst, I think, because it was like 2 a.m. We were going through this tiny ass little town. Just going,
Yep.
boop, boop, boop. You're like, I just want to go a little faster, a little sooner, rather than go through this throttle bullshit.
Yep.
And that's why the throttle bullshit exists.
Yep.
They can pop you.
Yep. When you're a when you go through a federal background check to become a state employee, you don't get to see every answer I gave on the background check and every piece of information that they got, but you do get to see the summary conclusion of the background check. And that won't show up on your $40 background lookup stuff. You have to request that, but it's there. You know what I mean? My fucking federal background check is there. They would not have let me work around children if I had a rap sheet or if my internet history was fucky or anything. They dig all the way into you before they let you anywhere near a school. It's not like people don't slip through the cracks, but it's just, that's me.
Well, I think probably the people that quote unquote slip through the cracks just don't start doing anything until after they're already close to children.
But that's the thing, is like most people leave a trail before them.
Yeah.
Offenders are going to start offending young, and that's going to show up on a record, and they're just going to get filtered out, you know. I'm shocked you got that job with the CB story. Well, here's the thing. I was never prosecuted. My parents were never prosecuted for the CB shit.
You just got a stern talking to.
That is not part of my public record. They pulled me in. And when I say they, I mean the county sheriff and the FCC pulled me in and my mother to avoid me having a record. What they threatened me with was a broadcast ban. I was using public airwaves improperly. If I continued to do it, I would never be allowed to broadcast myself ever again, including here.
Well, this isn't public airwaves. They don't have any control over this. The FCC.
Well, they would probably, yeah, you're right. But still, I would not be able to use CB radio, ham radio. I would never be able to be authorized for any job that requires the usage of such, right? So they were threatening me with that. But there's no paper trail on that because nothing ever came of it. What you can look up, if I knew his name, his last name was Hightower. You can look up that story. There's a criminal guy that lived in Madera County. His last name was Hightower. I believe his first name was John. Prison for life for murdering his wife. And he was a guy that parked out in front of my mom's house because I'd pissed him off. Tracked me down, found my aerial, parked out there and smoked cigarettes all night. Well, the Democrats keep fumbling the ball with this candidacy thing. So, like, the big push was AOC Bernie, right? This is going to be how we answer Trumpism, right? But then, an appropriations bill came across AOC's desk for more bombs and more missiles and more bullshit for Israel to blow up babies with. And what did AOC do? Even though she speaks out for the Palestinian people, she found it in her heart to give more bombs to Israel. And also found it in her heart to give a really convoluted explanation for why that doesn't contradict her principles. She's a piece of shit. She's unelectable. The left will reject her. And as much as they want to, there's a big argument going on amongst liberals right now. Destiny is having this argument that, like, the left has to be excised. He's basically trying to turn the liberal wing of the Democratic Party into what it already is, just another conservative wing where they ignore leftist politics completely, right? And the reason that Destiny wants to do this is entirely spite-driven. His prescriptions haven't worked out, and leftist prescriptions have come true. When leftists said that the weak candidacy would lead to another Trump, he was right there going, no, it won't, no, it won't. You go watch his fucking election night thing. He's just nonplussed and completely and utterly shocked that Trump wins it. because he just thought that his liberal prescriptions were going to win the day. And it didn't happen. And it turns out all those mean MLs and tankies and leftists were right about Biden being unelectable, right about Kamala being unelectable. And they were right about, hey, us staying home is going to fuck you in this election. And before the election, he was saying, we don't need you. You remember I had a whole thing with him. How are you going to win without us? We don't need you. You guys are a cancer. No confession is ever enough. Right? Well, now he's stewing in his juices because all those liberal prescriptions have fallen down to the wayside, right? He's been caught in 4K giving anti-war crime, how to hide your war crime advice to IDF soldiers. You guys seen that clip? Hey guys, if you want to, kill somebody and rifle through their underwear drawer and put on a woman's dress and just go ahead and do it, all right? Nobody fucking cares, but just don't take a picture of it, all right? Jesus fucking Christ, guys, come on. It's just like, all right, so you're a fucking sick fuck vampire shit, And it's all spite-based, too. He wants Israel to win because that'll make the left hurt. And it's like, whatever, bro. So it's just like, they're going to move farther away. But, Destiny is the temperature of the liberal wing of the fucking left. He's the temperature. You want to stick your fucking thermometer up somebody's butt, make it his. He'll give you the temperature. And it is, we're sick of these leftists being right all the time. So we're going to create a world where we don't even listen to them. 2 conservative parties. Yes. It's like, okay, well, it's already there, bro. You're pretending like it isn't, but have fun with that.
Oh, no.
What?
There's a little science center near us that has dinosaurs. They're getting rid of the dinosaurs.
What?
Why would you get rid of dinosaurs at a science museum for kids?
They sold it, probably. Sold it to a collector or to a museum, a bigger place, wanted some real dinosaurs.
Well, it was like animatronics.
Oh. Well, they're not real dinosaurs. They're probably just old and shitty. They're probably getting some new ones.
I don't know. They said they're getting ready for new exhibit, but they didn't say they're getting more dinosaurs.
That's lame. They should keep 1 or 2 of them.
They're gonna replace dinosaurs with spiders? It's lame as shit.
Well, spiders are cool.
But you're gonna get rid of all the dinosaurs for spiders?
That's not a cool trade, though. I feel like you work in some spiders and dinosaurs, personally. Were there giant birds in the Ice Age and before that time? Yeah, there was one bird. What is that? You know what that bird is called? The butcher bird or something? Or there was a bird that was like 8 feet tall. It looked like a shoe bill, kind of. And I think it was called the butcher bird, or this thing had talons like that on its feet. Terror bird. That's what it is. Terror bird. There's a reason it was called the terror bird. That fucker was like 7 feet, 8 feet tall. Flightless. Like a true dinosaur bird. Right? And those motherfuckers would just rip you up, bro. Rip you up. Just for the fun of it. No, there were some giant birds, bro. Could snatch a kid up from the ground. Well, no, they weren't that big. They couldn't fly. Terror birds were flightless. They were more like I said, like a shoebill. If you look at a modern shoebill, that's a terror bird, just smaller. Believe that one was not a dinosaur, but a reptile. The terror bird was a reptile? Interesting. But yeah, there were big, giant, like condors. Like, well, you can look at like the what is that called? Just the condor, right? The western condor or whatever, that got like an 8-foot wingspan. There used to be birds that had double that, right? 16-foot wingspan, giant harpy eagles, I think they were called, or something like that. And that's like unimaginable. That'd snatch a kid right up off the ground and carry it off. But there were like pteranodons and tyrannosaurs that were that way as well. So we're talking about like, the flying dinosaur types. Quetzalcoatl, and I think that was the biggest one. Was called Quetzalcoatl, which is named after the flying serpent god of Mayan myth. Host's eagle, Andean condor. Yeah. There's some crazy ones. Ostriches are weird. It is the myth about them sticking their heads in the sand to hide a myth. It is a myth. They will bury their heads in dirt to look for worms and grubs and stuff, but the idea that started is like they're stupid, right? And they are. If you look at their brain size to body ratio, they're one of the dumbest fucking animals on the planet, bro. Ostriches are smart, okay? One of the weird things about ostriches is they have no gag reflex. Their throat is just a sack of spongy shit. And so when you have a tame ostrich, I did this when I was a kid. We went to an ostrich farm and the guy showed, he's like, you can do this. And he was like, open up. And he tapped the ostrich and the ostrich went, and he grabbed a handful of food and he stuck his hand down in there and released the food in the neck. And then he opened his hand in the neck and you could see his fingers in the neck. And the ostrich was just like, not distressed at all. And he pulled it out and he was like, who wants to do it? And I was like, me. So he gave me a handful of food and I put it down the ostrich's neck and I stretched my little hand against his neck and it wasn't even wet in there. It just like felt like a leather pouch with stretch. Kind of cool. Interesting little footsie. People are talking taking ostrich eggs. They just mimic the ostrich's mating dance, and it lets them take the eggs while it dances back and down. Yeah, you do the because that's what they do. They fan out their like vestigial wings and their tail feathers, and the males will go like, or the females too. They do this like. So I guess if you get a couple of things and you do it at them, they'll do it back at you, and you can go in there and snatch the egg. Stupid. What a dummy.
There's some birds too that are like obsessed sexually with humans.
Really?
Yeah.
Which birds?
Let's see.
They're obsessed. Like, how are they obsessed sexually? They're like they're humanies. They're like bird furries. How could herbivore dinosaurs become so huge? That is down to the oxygen level of the ancient atmosphere. So the ancient atmosphere had less nitrogen and a way larger part of oxygen, and that allowed all animals to grow to enormous size. So dragonflies the size of big giant hawks, spiders the size of dinosaur, centipedes, right? The only thing that limited insects was their exoskeletal structure. Insects are all gooey on the inside, and their protection is held out with their shell, the exoskeleton. And they got so big that if they got any bigger, gravity would have collapsed their skeleton in on their soft innards. So that limited the size of insects, but they still grew to an enormous size in comparison to today. But what enabled the giant kind of Allosaurus, Brontosaurus, what are they, Argentinosaurus or whatever, those big sauropods, right? What enabled them to be so huge was the mix of oxygen and the abundance of biological food. And nature selected for largeness because it protected them against predators. So the longer their necks got, the bigger they got. The bigger they got, the more protected they were from predators. It's also theorized that they were herd animals, and so protection in numbers. Only the weak get kind of picked off by the predatory animals, and the strong survive.
Yeah, there was a crane that was only attracted to the zookeeper, and basically she'd kill all of like her bird mates and only be attracted to the zookeeper. So the zookeeper had to like court her and then sneak a little bird sperm in her, so she kept having eggs.
Jesus. Man. Animals are wild, bro. They're just so stupid. Pandas really will blow your mind, man. I've talked about it enough, but watching a panda mother give birth changed my whole perspective on life. They just don't even care. They squirt the poor little thing across the room and then they just ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
And
they'll
if
just squish it if they're not watched.
Yeah, or eat it. And it's just like if they notice it at the wrong time, they'll just grab it and eat it. Mm-hmm. They think it's a little grub or something. They're like, all right, that came out of my pussy 5 minutes ago, but whatever. They literally launch it. It comes out like a little worm. It's blind.
Naked.
And if it can crawl its way back to its mother and find its way to her teat, maybe it'll survive. But that's just an animal they've given up, man. Like evolutionarily speaking, that's an animal that doesn't want to go on. They're just like, all right, well, we've reached the apex.
They have to show pandas porn.
Yeah, they have to show pandas porn of other pandas to get them randy. And even then, a lot of times they just won't do it. Mm-hmm. Mother pandas in the wild, in captivity, they're just not mothers until the baby's big enough for them to notice it. When it's a little wormy, it's like a little snack to them if they think about it in the wrong way. They're just retarded.
Well, like, they're having marsupial kind of babies, but they're not marsupials.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of baby that, like, is born out of a kangaroo and it goes in the pouch.
Yeah, but they don't have a pouch.
A little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start getting panda kink, because the old standard straight panda porn ain't working anymore. So we're gonna have to start getting leather harnesses and panda bondage. Pandas dressing up like humans, maybe doing a little human panda con, so they can all get together in the room afterwards and do nasty human things together. I don't know. But from my perspective, as cute as they are, I think we should just let them go into that good night. Clearly, this is an animal that doesn't care if its generation continues. Like, they've reached a point. They're like, you know what? Guys, listen. We've reached the apex of panda. Okay, this is it. We don't even want to fuck anymore. We're just so content.
Well, this is why China keeps protecting them, because they're diplomatic tools. They can kind of dangle a panda, like, oh, the zoo want a panda?
Yeah.
You gotta give us a little something, something.
Right.
Or you want to keep your panda zoo? You gotta give us a little something, something.
Yeah.
Because there's so few of them, because they're so retarded that...
They really are fucking tarded. Real bad. Real bad tarded. Not even lying to you. They're real stupid. And they're just, like, it's like koalas, too. Koalas are just retarded animals.
They got all the chlamydia.
Yeah, they're all like syphilitic or chlamydia'd up, right? And they're all like here, like we've covered it, but like pandas can eat pretty much any vegetation. Like their stomach can handle other stuff, but they refuse to eat anything but eucalyptus leaves. Eucalyptus leaves are the toughest, some of the toughest, most fibrous leaves in nature. They're so hard, and the panda has to chew and chew to get it to pulp and to get it to go down into their stomach just to get enough nutrients out of it to survive, right? And if they ate other things, they would be way better off, but they don't, because the eucalyptus leaves wear their teeth down. So pandas will literally eat themselves into toothlessness because they refuse. Koalas, sorry. Koalas will eat themselves into toothlessness. They're stupid. They got a brain that's like that. No joke. They've got like like lizards are smarter than they are. But they're cute, They're cute. So I love sloths, man. Sloths are great animals, man. Because they're the opposite of what other animals did, right? A lot of animals evolved to use that energy from meat or from plants or from the sun, right? From all three of those things to move fast or to be small or to be quick or to be big and strong. And sloths went the other way, man. They were like, we are going to conserve energy. We have evolved to conserve every bit of energy that we have within us. so that every time we eat, we get maximum efficiency out of it. So we don't move fast. We move slow and deliberate. I love a sloth.
So apparently pandas don't typically eat their babies, but they do. Like if they have twins, which apparently they frequently do, they'll just abandon one.
Oh my god,
they're endangered, and they're like, I only want one.
The species doesn't want to go. It doesn't want to be. I watched that panda mother give birth. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen in the animal kingdom. She just leaned back, didn't even care, and just went, and that baby went across the room, hit the ground, and slid, and she was just like,
and they gotta go pick
and
up
it was
the
like,
baby and like kind of force
it was
her
like,
to nurse.
and she was like, and then some fucking like Chinese lady came in wearing a fucking white thing and was like, brought it over to the fucking panda, put it on the panda, and the panda was like, I was like, what the fuck is this, man? Like, that panda looked like it thought it farted or something. It's like, oh man, them bamboo shoots were wild yesterday. What did you walk into? Panda politics. Okay. We're almost done, though, Sam. Don't worry. Was Avatar a good movie? I saw Avatar twice in the theaters. It was a great movie. But it was really a movie that I don't like outside of the theater experience. It was just so cool on the IMAX that that's why I went and saw it twice, because it was just too fucking cool. Still haven't seen the new one. Not really interested, honestly. Avatar wasn't good for the story. The story was lame. But the visual effects were groundbreakingly awesome to watch. It's one of the only like CGI spectacle movies that I feel like is worthy of the term true spectacle. Because it's the only reason I went back and watched that movie again in the theaters was because it was just such a fucking spectacle. Well, you know, I'm not going to tell James Cameron to do shit. James Cameron is going to do, he's a genius, and he can do whatever he wants. I just probably am not going to be as into the Avatar shit. The second one was mediocre. Don't have high hopes for the third, but I also don't have anything better to do. Sure. Finding Nemo, the animated movie that started the animated movie craze. No. Animated movie. I think you might be talking about like CGI, and Finding Nemo was an early example of like the Pixar aesthetic. But it wasn't the first example, and it certainly didn't start the craze, right? It's just an early, well-loved example of the Pixar aesthetic. Maybe the first real big Pixar movie. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But yeah, I don't really look at it as a foundational movie any more than I look at like Wreck-It Ralph, or because like these movies, the tropes in them weren't taken from Finding Nemo. These Pixar movies, really, if you want the keystone Pixar movie that keeps getting remade, it's Wreck-It Ralph to me. Now, Wreck-It Ralph is cool because it's got all these old video game references in it and stuff. It was made for boomers with kids. And it's not a bad movie. I've just seen it so many times that I can't ever watch it again. But I really do think it's a keystone. Specifically, the character of Vanellope von Schweetz, that little girl with the candy in her hair, and she's just too, I'm a girl, but I'm not a girly girl, though. I like to do race car stuff. And the way her mouth moves and the way her eyes move. So, like, when they created that character, Vanellope von Schweetz, something broke in the Pixar world, man. Something broke. And they were just like, we have to make everybody into Vanellope von Schweetz. And ever since Vanellope von Schweetz, every chick, every little girl, every little boy in a Pixar film does that same thing with their mouth, always looking down their nose and crossing their eyes at weird times. And it's just like, oh. Wreck-It Ralph isn't Pixar. Yeah, but you get the drift.
Well, Disney bought Pixar and it's a Disney animation.
Right.
They're using the Pixar.
They used
shit.
Pixar. So just shut up. Don't correct me when I don't need correcting, asswipe. This is my least favorite fucking shit. Is getting corrected by a moron that doesn't know what they're talking about, and I didn't need correcting.
Disney's just weird, and like they'll do a Pixar movie but not put it under the Pixar name.
Yeah, they're using the Pixar animation studio and all of the assets and the same animators. Yeah, it's a fucking Pixar movie, guys. I hate being... That's my trigger.
Yeah.
Being corrected by a dumbass that doesn't know what they're talking about. I'm cool with an actually guy. I like an actually guy because I don't like to be wrong. But when I'm not wrong and somebody's like, actually, Paul, that's not a Pixar film. And it is. I just want to strangle everybody, bro. I want to strangle everybody. I felt that noise you made. Yeah, I know. Trust me, it came from deep, deep, deep within.
Why don't you want people bit?
No, Sam, not you. You get a pass. You are Sam. Like I said, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to that other bitch. I don't care that you were saying the same shit.
You want to go see Daddy?
You want to come see me? Come see me on my lap. Yes. Yes. Yes, sir.
You got a little trim the other day.
Doesn't he look regal and beautiful? Isn't he just the softest, sweetest, trimmed up, handsome boy? Would you believe he's 10? Would you believe it? Would you believe he's 10 years old? I can't believe it. He looks like half that age. He looked like he's 5 years old, maybe 5 years old. Peephole Dino. Thank you for the licks, little man. Thank you for the licks. You like a little hamstring rub? Give you a little massage. That's how you let me know you like it.
Mm-hmm.
Give you a little hamstring rub here. Want me to work the other one too? You're kind of sitting on it. I'll work your back a little bit. Give you a back rub. Give you a massage. You like that? Is that good right there? Mm-hmm. Daddy knows. Daddy knows where the spots are. Good massager. That's pretty good right there. How about over on this side? Work this side a little bit. Make you lick your chops.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you know. Maybe even get a yawn out of you.
He did a few yawns.
Oh, he did a yawn? Oh. Little day, little day. What a sweetie potato you are. What a handsome boy. Beautiful boy. Oh, what's going on over there? Go get it. What? Paul, could you train and own a Rottweiler dog? Yes. Could I? Would I? No. Rottweiler's a very willful dog. I've worked with Rottie mixes. Not extensively, but a couple of times when I was a volunteer at ARF. Rottie mixes and Rots in general. Some of the sweetest, most loyalist, best dogs. But they are super duper willful and active dogs, and they need a job. They are working dogs. And if you get a Rottie just to have him lay around the house all day, like Paul D, you're not going to have a happy Rottie. Happy Rotties are working dogs. Rots want to be out. They want to be doing something, whether it's walking, running, fetching, hunting. protecting, right? Rottweilers are guard animals. Rottweilers want to have a large territory and they want to patrol that shit and they want to fight anything that comes on it that isn't yours. That's what a Rottie wants. If you don't give that to a Rottie, you've got a dog that's got problems. You got a dog that chews. You maybe even have food aggression. And that's dangerous with a Rottie because a Rottie is a powerful animal, right?
Yeah, apparently the Germans used them to pull carts of meat.
Yeah.
Like little mini oxen.
Yeah, they're fucking huge. They're working dogs. They're just muscly, ropey, big, giant beasts, you know? And you need to, yes. So the answer is, could I raise a Rottie? Yes. Do I want to? No. Nope. But there's not a single dog out there other than some of the really exotic hunting breeds that I would feel uncomfortable owning. And the only reason I would feel uncomfortable owning an exotic hunting breed or an exotic protection breed is because they need things I don't know, right? Like, I know some of it, but I wouldn't know how to properly stimulate a hunting dog. I don't hunt. I wouldn't know how to properly stimulate like a Doggo or Argento. I don't have a flock of sheep or chickens or anything for that dog to protect. I don't have children, right? A lot of these dogs are designed to protect a big family. So didn't a historical figure with the little mustache own one? Yes, he owned numerous dogs. He loved animals. That's something about Hitler. He loved his dogs. He was more connected with his dogs. I think his dog's name was Blondie, Blondi, and he was more connected with his dog than he was with human beings.
He was a vegetarian,
strict. Strict vegetarian because he loved animals so much. Bill Maher is a good example of a dumb guy that plays a smart guy. I don't think Bill Maher is a dumb guy. I don't think that's his problem.
He's just been grifting lately.
He's a guy with no principles. He's a guy whose principles are for sale, clearly. And he's a guy whose politics have evolved to the typical selfish old man conservatism. And he's really angry at young people for still having passion in their veins. And that's a problem. It's not stupidity. Bill Maher's a pretty smart, quick-witted guy. He wouldn't be where he is if he wasn't. But he's just a grifter.
I was glad that HBO finally stopped like putting him as the headliner every time you opened the app. Because I remember when we had HBO last, it was like every time we opened it, Bill Maher, Bill Maher, Bill Maher.
He's just lost his fucking head of steam. They've probably got a deal with him that's expiring in a couple of years, and he's probably working in a retirement because it just ain't working. I mean, he'll probably move adjacent and start doing his own podcasting thing. And
I mean, he's already doing.
I know, but I'm just saying he'll probably lean into that and just sit on his millions and be Bill Maher and go ahead and just retire and never fucking admit he's gay and all of that, right?
Oh, so the perpetual bachelor thing.
Yeah, I really am, man. Bill Maher and Howard Stern should pool their money and buy a little island somewhere they can fuck off to. They would be a cute little couple, too. Two old retired Jewish guys living on an island together, booty blasting each other and just whining at each other. That sounds like a beautiful life for both of them. Because, by the way, Howard Stern's another guy. His sexuality, he's at the very least a bisexual guy. Some of the stunts that he's done and some of the things that he's said and the way that he treats gay and trans issues is just so indicative of a guy that wants to suck a dick or wants to be booty blasted or maybe he wants to top a dude. I don't know. But it's just like, it's so obvious that Howard Stern wants to fuck men. And I feel the same way about Bill Maher. Howard Stern has this like uber ridiculous trophy wife named Beth Ostrowski. She's like a swimsuit model. Just beautiful trophy wife, right? But he talks openly about his sex life. He won't fuck her without a condom, even though he's fixed and she's fixed, because he thinks it's gross. Like, he thinks fluid contact with a woman is gross. Like, it's just obviously a gay guy, you know, or at least bi. Yeah, Ralph Cirilla is Howard's longtime best friend and stylist, does Howard's hair, buys Howard's clothes, and he's basically Howard's wife. He's basically Howard's wife, and it always has been. And I would not be shocked if Ralph Cirilla and Howard Stern have had a long going gay relationship because they act that way, right? They are that way together. They fight like a married couple. Howard doesn't act like a married couple with his wife. When he has his wife on the show or he talks about his wife, it sounds like artifice. It's like, I love my wife, and we were watching Dancing with the Stars last night, cuddling up on the couch and eating some popcorn. You know, it just sounds like, what would a normal couple do on a Wednesday night? That's what it sounds like. But when he talks about him and Ralph, oh, fucking Ralph was driving me nuts the other day. He took me to the store, and he was like, you got to try this on, you got to try this on. And I'm like, I'm fucking verklempt with this shit. I don't want to try anything on. He's like, you need to look good for your Letterman. I'm like, I don't care about Letterman. I want to go in a paper bag. You know, that sounds like a wife to me. That sounds like a husband and a wife to me. And I feel the same way about Bill Maher. Bill Maher has shown up at gala events with beautiful supermodel black women on his arm, you know. But I think he's a flipper and a flopper, you know. And you know, definitely from the generation, like my generation doesn't even want to admit it. And I'm a generation after Stern, and at least one generation after Stern, and a generation after Bill Maher for sure. They're a solid early Gen X. Bill Maher probably, and even I think Bill Maher's more of a boomer, honestly, and so is they're my parents' generation. So yeah, boomers. And I think that their generation was even more locked up sexually than mine. My generation, Gen X, you know, pretty locked up. I was 38 when I came out of the closet. I was 38 when I just admitted what I am from a sexual perspective. And I'm still, like, working to shed some of the fucking coping mechanisms, hyper masculine shit that I like hid behind for so many years, because it just doesn't, it's not me, and it doesn't serve any purpose other than trying to masculinize somebody that isn't, you know, I'm masculine to the point that I am, but I'm not overtly, I'm not like a construction worker like guy, you know. So anyway, that generation though, those guys will never come out, man. You know, Tom Cruise is from that boomer generation too, and he will never ever admit it, man. But that guy is just gayer than Folsom Street Pride, bro. Yeah, it's sad they came from such a repressive time. Maybe they'd be less affronted by trans people. Well, yeah, trans people, gender experimentation. That's something that really bothers both of them. Like, both of them have been very odd to trans people, non-binary people, people that don't fit a gender norm. Have always been a bugaboo for Howard Stern, and especially recently. Like, if you go back and watch how Bill Maher talked about trans people in the 90s, he made jokes that would be considered to be off color, but he also took their backs. He also said they have every right to do to their body and to be whatever they think they are. And now he might still like say that if you pin him down on his position, but really what comes out of his mouth is everything but shut up, conform, quit putting it in my face, you know. And it's just like, that's the conservative argument. It's like, what, I'm fine with trans people, but why do they have to exist in the world? Why can't they just be trans at home? It's like, what? You know, that's basically where he's at. You're not flaming. Yeah, I guess, you know, like I don't have that like more effeminate homosexual affect or whatever. I present masculine, and I'm comfortable with that. Like, as far as my voice and my hand movements, my body movements and stuff, all that feels natural to me. That doesn't feel like artifice to me. I feel comfortable in that role. What I don't feel comfortable in is like traditional hyper masculine shit. Ooh, football, titties. You know, I like those things, but I'm not as driven by them, I guess, as some other dude. Wow, you lost weight, Paul. Maybe a little, but I got a haircut. It's optical weight loss, friend. But thanks. If you had a radio show, what kind of music would you play? 95.7 The Fox, your home for classic rock. We got a little bit of smoke on the water coming up for you, folks. Stay tuned for another 15 minutes of uninterrupted music here on your only home in the valley for classic rock. 95.7 The Fox. Whoo, hair has weight. Good point. You make a good point, sir. I give you that. Hair has weight. Yes, it do. Is there anything about knowing TJ IRL that surprised you? Yeah. Well, the first thing you learn about TJ is that TJ is the guy that he is in his videos, but he's not. TJ is a kind of a quiet, contemplative guy most of the time. He's fucking hilarious, loves to laugh, loves to get turned up. But that guy that you see in his videos, that is TJ at his performative best. But TJ in his normal life is a quiet, smart, slow to anger, quick to find resolution. He's a real part of the glue that holds our show together. And I think a lot of people would assume the opposite. Scotty and I are the hotheads, really. I mean, TJ can be hot-headed too, but Scotty and I are kind of like real abrasive influences, and TJ handles that with a very mature grace that is needed in our business. And that's the most surprising thing, I think, to somebody that's a fan of TJ, to know that about him, is that he is very smart business-wise and very empathetic business-wise, and he knows how to sit and listen to passion and make it into action. And that's a skill I don't have, man, or at the very least I don't have it at the level he does. Easily the most amenable of the three of us. I would say it goes Scotty, me, TJ, least amenable to most. I would say I'm somewhere between TJ and Scotty. And I'm not saying Scotty's amenable to a fault or unamenable to a fault, but Scotty does. When Scotty has an opinion, Scotty's got an opinion. When Scotty thinks something is right, Scotty thinks something is correct, and he's going to stand on that business. He's not real super amenable to argument. Neither am I. I can do it, but I feel like TJ is easily the most approachable of us from that perspective. He is a moderating influence on a very chaotic show, and it's very needed, right? Even though on the show he's kind of a central, the goofery of TJ is kind of a part of the show. Behind the scenes, TJ is, he's the show dad. Scotty reflects afterward. Yes. No. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said I don't think Scotty is unamenable to a fault. I just think that Scotty stands on business a lot harder, and he's a lot less likely in the moment to back down. And I'm not saying TJ is super likely to back down, but TJ knows how to do it, and he knows when to do it. And I don't think Scotty and I do all the time. I speak for me too, man. I said I might be more hot-headed even than Scotty. I don't know how that handles out. But yeah, both Scotty and I have a tendency to be a little abrasive and a little hot-headed, and TJ is a hugely moderating influence there. I think that sort of showmanship is a big reason why you guys are still successful while so many people have fallen off. I think so too, honestly. What did you see? Squirrel? You gonna go chase that squirrel? He wants to be chased. But I guess you're gonna give it to him. He's chirping at you. He's saying, come chase me. You're just gonna poop? You're just gonna poop where he was? To let him know don't come over there? Okay. Dinosaur has figured it out. He just shits where the squirrels play. Or he pees on it. That squirrely wants a chase, D. That squirrely wants a chase. He's doing his bushy tail at you and he's chirping. Give that squirrely a chase. Yeah, give him a chase. So cute. I like TJ's recent video on introverts. I have not seen it yet. Is Bill Gates a piece of shit? Yeah, every billionaire is a piece of shit. There's no such thing as a good billionaire, just like there's no such thing as a good cop. Or a good politician, really. They're all scum. Ooh. Yep. Let me do my stretches, y'all. Give me a minute or two. Come on up, D. That squirrel chirping at you and barking at you. Ooh. Whew. Oh. Okay. That's a little better. Oh. Ooh, okay. Yep. Man. I gotta tell you, I do that, what I just did. I do a series of stretches. And they're stretches that I've stolen a little bit from yoga and just a little bit of my own shit. And I do that 3 times a day. And it is pain on pain on pain, man. The only reason that I keep doing it is because it lessens the pain in between sessions. But it is the only mitigation that I have, that and pot. It's the only mitigation for constant back, neck, cervical spine, and lower back pain. I have to stretch in ways that pull that spine and apart a little bit, get a little bit of that compressed nerve uncompressed for just a little while. And I have to do it 3 times a day or I'm fucked up. Ugh. Paul's known to watch some dark side filled detractor content, but yes, I know about the Kino Casino arc. I'm kind of like a fan of Kino Casino. I'm obviously not their politics, but their showmanship is really inspiring to me. As a show, I think they've got great energy, and I love that they've just like leaned into the snark. I admire their show, honestly. As a creator, I think it's a fun show, and the whole DSP Kino Casino, he's part of the team. He's doing a show with PPP, and then fucking all falls apart predictably, and PPP snakes him, and oh, it was beautiful, man, beautiful. You should patent your stretches and start your own fitness empire. Call it Broga. Broga, dude. I can't do Broga, bro. Broga's wild. Broga's crazy, bro. You know what else is crazy? This wave. You guys, I want honest opinions on this wave. Is this wave a little bit fucking absurd? Because I love it. I like the way it looks. I guarantee it. But is that absurd? Is it absurd having a big surfable wave on your head, or is that cool? I like it, so I'm probably going to keep it that way, but I just want to know. The wave. Like, are you catching this wave or not? Would you shoot that tube or not? It's a pseudo pompadour. It really is. It's definitely like reaching pompadouric status, is what I'm saying. But I'm okay with it. Better than a man bun. It's absurd, but in a very signature way. I like you. That's what I'm going for. Patented signature absurdity. I like the way I look. CEO that got killed, had kids and a wife. How can you justify his murder even though he was a CEO of a health whatever company? I'm speaking of Luigi Mangione. How do I justify it? I don't. I didn't kill the guy. I didn't order the guy killed. So its justification isn't on me. The reason why I don't really care, I guess, morally, is because he presided over the deaths of tons of people's moms, dads, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, grandparents, for monetary gain. And so when you do that, you got blood on your hands, friend. And sometimes people take the law into their own hands, and I'm not going to cry about it. Certainly not for a CEO that, once again, makes millions of dollars telling people no on their cancer treatments. Love that they're trying to say the Blackstone killing was about the NFL. We know what that was about. That was about the housing crisis. Uh-oh. They just don't want this to become a thing. But the thing is that these CEOs that have been fucking people over, they've been walking among us, eating at the same restaurants, walking the same streets as us, and they fuck us for a living. They're not going to be able to stop this. They're not going to be able to put a cork in this. Luigi uncorked the bottle. I'm not saying that I condone it. I'm just saying copycat's going copycat, bro. There's a lot of CEOs out there that have made a real big pile of money fucking over average people. And average people are pissed. How are you, lad? I'm doing well, thank you, laddie, for asking. His old bones are tired, but I'm still striving forward. Won't be long till I go to the dirt like me old granda. But until then, I'm living my life. How can you put a monetary value on a life? I don't. Oh, I'm not going to do anything to prevent it. I won't be jumping in front of any bullets headed for CEOs, I'll tell you that much. I'll be ducking, getting out of the way. What do they say? Les aristocrates de monde vedo, les aristocrates de monde va, les aristocrates de monde, les aristocrates de monde va. It's like, hang the aristocrats from the lamppost, burn their bodies to a crisp. Little Gojira. A little bit of French Revolution energy coming out of people. I don't know. I don't know what Bob Marley's last words to Ziggy were. I would tell you that it's highly likely mythologized because Bob Marley is a mythical figure. Is Napoleon Bonaparte a great man? Obviously. You're asking me about him hundreds of years after he died. Blackie. Blackie. You're not Blackie, you're a little Blackie spawn. You're too small to be Blackie. Looking right at me. I've not talked to my dad about the Epstein stuff, but that reminds me, I need to call my dad. So I'm going to do that. I will see you guys some other time.